apology tour, if you will. That this had been said online. There was all of the criticism. There was advertisers leaving. We talked to Bob Iger today.
I hope they stop.
You hope?
Don't advertise.
You don't want them to advertise?
No.
What do you mean?
If somebody's going to try to blackmail me with advertising, blackmail me with money, go yourself.
We had Robert Kennedy Jr. on, and we had a company call, or a couple companies call after that and say, yeah, just stuff about them. We're not advertising on this episode. My advertiser's like, you guys need to take the episode down. Oh, Peloton was we just got an update.
It was Peloton?
Was the band, was the people who wanted an ad out. Peloton.
Do we have Pelotons in the gym? Are those Peloton? Asports? No, there's bikes next to it. Asports. Yeah, we're getting rid of them.
What's going on? Are there little tiny parts of the corporate world actually growing a pair? Let's ask Emily about it. Joining me now, Emily Jashinsky, culture editor of the Great Federalist. Emily, look, I know it's two guys, right? But that's two more than I can remember we had about 35 seconds ago in this country. I'll take it.
No, 100%. And actually, the Elon Musk case study is a really interesting one because he's an example of how with your own money, if you have somebody who's kind of woke proof in the sense that he says, listen, go away, advertisers. I don't want you. He can do that because he's one of the very few billionaires that actually has sane opinions on all of this stuff. And that, I think, is really the key to the future. Somebody like Dana White, again, kind of woke proof in the sense that, most of their audience probably likes what Elon Musk and Dana White are saying a whole lot more than what the average woke CEO is saying. On the other hand, they also have the resources. They can really put their money where their mouth is. And Elon Musk says, go away, advertisers. I'll find another way. I'll do subscriptions on X. I'll find different advertisers. But it used to really be that as soon as you saw advertisers fleeing, this is why media matters. What they've tried with Elon Musk, they had tried for years with Fox News. They tried to get people to leave Tucker Carlson, Laura Ingraham, all of these different shows because it worked. It used to work. But when you can go to a different platform, an alternative platform, or you have a whole bunch of money, you can say no.
Emily, can you speak to Media Matters? And I know you can. For people who aren't in our industry, what is this group? What do they do? Why do they matter? Why have I ever heard of them?
Yeah, they basically launder liberal opinions under the guise of neutrality into the media. So they are a research group. They were set up actually by David Brock, who was kind of a conservative operative turned Clinton operative in the 90s, sort of weaselly type of DC operative guy, sets up Media Matters to monitor conservative media, which the left has been hysterical about since it got any power whatsoever. And they would constantly try to organize advertiser boycotts of Fox News and other conservative media, but they spend all of their time basically, presumably in a basement somewhere, binging Fox News and eating Doritos. And then they beg corporations to police speech. So they say, a soap company, whatever it is, Procter & Gamble, you have advertisers on Tucker Carlson's show. We just did this report showing that you have, allowed Tucker Carlson this microphone, take your money out. And they would, get people to sign letters and blah, blah, blah. And actually it worked. A lot of advertisers pulled out of Tucker's show, pulled out of Laura's show, and tried to make them less profitable. And it's basically the left begging the wealthiest people in the world to police political discourse. That's what they exist to do.
Yeah, they're big fans of mine, by the way. The feeling is mutual. Media Matters. All right. Yeah, they love me. All right, now I want you to update everybody, because we haven't covered it on this show, on this Deadspin blackface story with the kid at a football game. Pretend like people watching have never heard of it, and they may have never heard of it. What happened?
This is one of the most amazing stories I've seen in a long time. Basically, a kid, and obviously a child, was in the stands at the last week's Chiefs game. One half of his face was painted black. One half of his face was painted red because he was at a Chiefs game and he was wearing a headdress, a Native American headdress, because he was at a Chiefs game. And so because the camera caught him with just one side of his face, and your viewers can see it there, it's actually just sort of a perfect metaphor of journalists just looking at one half of a picture and jumping to conclusions. A writer at another publication I'm sure you love, Jesse, Deadspin, immediately wrote a piece about accusing this kid of being in blackface said it was like if John Gruden's tweets or John Gruden's emails came to life. That's the line that he used. It turns out this kid is actually Native American himself. So after a Deadspin writer smeared him essentially as a racist, a child, smeared him essentially as a racist, it turns out the kid's Native American. I mean, it's just the perfect example of media jumping to narratives based on no research whatsoever and trying to foment cancel culture in a way that ruins people they don't know, they don't care about, ruins their lives just so that you can get some clicks over at Deadspin and on your Twitter page.
Emily, I'm sure we probably don't have an update on this yet, but I'm assuming they're suing Deadspin into oblivion, at least suing them for the $25 I'm sure that publication is worth.
No update on that yet. I would hope that they would, because they have the Nick Sandman example from Covington Catholic to work off of, which was essentially very, very, very similar in that you had media with a clip that was entirely misrepresentative of the situation. And journalists should know better. Journalists who are good at their job know that clips and half pictures, you only saw half of this kid's face, don't tell the full story, but jump to conclusions immediately. And Sandman, we don't know exactly what he got from CNN, but we know that it was a hell of a lot of money. So following that example, they would have a pretty good shot with this one.
Yeah, I hope so. Emily, what's going on with YouTube and COVID? Out of the Judiciary Committee today, the reason I ask is yours truly got censored pretty hard by YouTube during COVID when they were trying to push that poison shot into everybody's veins. What's going on? How deep did the rabbit hole go?
Yeah, we're learning just truly not surprising details, but incredible details of the extent of the government's censorship operation, or the extent of their collusion with the government censorship operation. There are a lot more details, a lot more emails coming out thanks to the work of people like Matt Taibbi and Michael Schellenberger digging through more and more files. And I think that's the key to this, is as they get access to more documents, you're seeing basically exactly what you would expect based on the work that they did with the Twitter files, which is essentially people in government colluding. You know, some of these new emails, you can see people in tech making reports, or people in the kind of nonprofit anti-speech sector making reports and copying them on emails to the government, and then the government taking action against speech that they find objectionable, which of course is the problem. When we have government deciding what is reasonable discourse on the internet in a partisan way, we know how that ends, and it ends not well. It actually ends up where the government is regularly promoting disinformation on things like COVID, from Fauci to Biden himself. All of the things they told us about the vaccines, by these standards of disinformation, are disinformation. But of course, the standards are so partisan that speech like that never would have been banned on YouTube.
Emily, I have to ask. I'm asking everybody, all my friends right now. Well, here's President Biden. I'll ask after.
Now look, my Marine carries that. It has a code to blow up the world. That doesn't. This is not nuclear weapons, is it? All right, okay. But I am friends with your leader, Mr. Moon. We're good guys. I've said this, and I said this to Deng Xiaoping in the Himalayas. Instead of cutting them, or like Congressman Trump and Bo want to do.
Deng Xiaoping, Joe Biden's not going to be on the ballot, right?
I mean, based on that, it's amazing. Even if you go back and look at him in 2020, when he was campaigning from his basement, he was bad. But this is, when you go back and look at that, it makes him look like a spry young adult compared to just these last 3 years, how far this has gotten. Everybody knows it. Everybody can see it. That's why 70% of Democrats want another option on the presidential ticket, because it is so embarrassing as a country. It is uncomfortable as an American. It's uncomfortable for anybody to watch. And the nuclear code clip you just played is especially terrifying, I think, to average Americans, to hear him bumbling through a sentence about the nuclear codes, because it just reminds you he has access to them and full reign of them. Essentially, he can do whatever he wants, and that's terrifying. It should be.
Oh, what a world. Emily, thank you. Appreciate you very much. Yeah.